Okay, so for those of you watching this video, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, this girl does not look like she has cancer. So I figured that I would need to take my wig off so that you could see what's going on underneath here. There we go. Bald head out in the open. Okay, here goes. Here is my first video diary. I'm a little nervous, so please forgive me for my awkwardness. These past 2 weeks have been not the greatest for me. So I figured that I would take this time to talk through some things that have been going on, and maybe talking about them will help me. So I have not been sleeping very much because of the Lupron shot is making me have hot flashes. And that goal is to put my ovaries to sleep during chemo. And that would be great if it works, because then Mac and I will be able to have children after chemo naturally without having to use the fertilized embryos that we created through the fertilization process. There's no guarantees, of course, with the Lupron, and there's also no guarantees that chemo will ruin the function of my ovaries, but we figured why not give it a shot. So pretty much what that Lupron does is put me into a state of menopause, so I've started having hot flashes every night. And as a person who normally gets 8, 9 hours of sleep every night and functions really well on that amount of sleep, not sleeping has had a big impact on me. I just feel really overwhelmed every day, and I don't really have any emotional bandwidth to deal with any kind of stress. As if cancer wasn't stressful enough, this side effect in the not sleeping has made work stress even more difficult, and just simple tasks like going to Target, returning something to the store, picking something up from the grocery store, folding the laundry, making the bed, like that, have become much more overwhelming to me. So along with the not sleeping comes this added stress and the overwhelmed feelings and a lot of sadness, because I can't really deal with my emotions as a normal, sane person would. As a lot of people mention, cancer just makes you a big baby and you just cry at everything. And then you add the not sleeping piece to that, and I just feel like I'm a waterworks in a basket case all the time. I am able to keep it together at work, but most evenings my poor husband is dealing with me moping on the couch and crying a lot. I can't watch any commercials without crying. Not just the Main Society commercials, but almost everything triggers me in some way. And it is very frustrating to have that happen to you and have your emotions be so overwhelming that you almost can't control your reactions to your emotions like you would normally if you were functioning on a normal amount of sleep and under normal physical conditions. And so what I have really been trying to work on is acceptance. It is much easier said than done, and some days go better than others in terms of accepting where I'm at in the process and how my side effects are, and just the cancer diagnosis overall. Mac and I have a marriage strengthening counselor, that's what we like to call it, who we love. And I also have a personal therapist who I've been with for many, many years. And both of them have been focusing a lot in our sessions on acceptance and changing my expectations for myself. Pretty much everything in my life, I have high expectations for myself. And so this entire cancer process has been a lesson in letting go of some of those expectations and giving myself a break. As hard as that has been, and I'm still struggling with that. After my first round of chemo and the surgery, my mastectomy, I really had to give myself a break because physically I couldn't keep up and I couldn't meet the expectations that I had for myself. And I really realized that they were unrealistic. And so I lowered my expectations to a certain level that was much better for me, and I was able to cope much better. And this second round of chemo hit me a lot harder than the first, and I think I'm still struggling with figuring out what my new normal is this second time around. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing to see that I'm not able to do as much as I could. It's disappointing to see that my body is changing in even more ways, and the side effects and the issues that I'm having from the drugs and the chemo and everything that's going on are getting worse as I go along. And I did know that chemotherapy is a cumulative process and it takes a toll on your body, but you hear things and you don't realize how it's going to be for you, and you hope for the best and you hope that it's going to be as easy as possible on your body, and you just try to roll with it as it goes along. So some days I'm feeling great with the situation and I can accept everything that's going on and all the changes. And sometimes I get really angry or really sad and I just can't take everything that's going on. And so I end up feeling really overwhelmed by even the smallest tasks because emotionally I'm already so drained, and physically I feel beat up. I feel like I can't take one more thing that this chemo is going to throw at me. But then I try and realize that overall I have it pretty good. Usually after my chemo sessions, I have a couple of horrible days, a couple of days in nausea, some bone pain from the Neulasta, but overall I have it much better than a lot of people. So I really need to be grateful. And I have an amazing support system around me of people that are cheering me up and caring for me along the way. So overall, I'm trying to find some positivity in the whole situation, although these past couple weeks it's been harder and harder for me to find that positivity and much easier to mope around and focus on the negative. So my goal for this week is to focus on accepting where I'm at right now. It may not be where I want to be, and I may not be feeling the greatest, but this is where I'm at right now, and I need to accept that that's okay, and I need to lower my expectations and realize that if I can't do the laundry or I can't go to Target, then that's okay as well. It's been really hard, but something that really hit home for me last week during one of our sessions was the therapist and I were talking about how I wanted to feel sorry for myself and how it's okay for me to feel sorry for myself for a day, for a week, for a month, even for a year if I want to. I deserve it. And then at the end of that conversation, she asked me if I wanted to feel that way. And I realized that I don't want to feel that way forever. Of course, some nights I want to have a pity party and I want to cry and mope and feel sad. But overall, I do not want to hang on to that emotion and to that anger and to that sadness for a long time. So I'm going to try to focus on limiting my pity party. I'm going to have a designated pity party every day when I get home from work, and I can be sad and I can be frustrated and I can let all of that emotion come out of me, and then I'm going to try to move on and go on to the next part of my evening. For the next week or so, I'm really going to try and focus on that and hopefully pull myself out of those emotional takeovers. Maybe I'll be able to feel a little bit better and stop beating myself up so much for feeling so negative over the past couple weeks. That's all for today. First try complete.